Episode of Desertwood Days with Kathy Blaze is sponsored by Cole O'Bart's Entertainment, providing amusement, celebration, and distraction since 2013. To find out more, visit us on the web at www.
Welcome back to Desertwood Days, and I am Kathy Blaze. I am so excited that we have brought to you today one of our most talented actresses from the mainlands of Hawaii, but she was an original here in Arizona. Let's welcome Miss Kimber Leigh. Hello.
Miss Kathy.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. That was beautiful.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, my arms are a little tired from flying in.
I imagine they are. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
Such a pleasure. And Miss Hawaii. So, Kimber, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I took a job in Arizona working for one of the first deregulated airlines in the world. And so I spent most of my adult life in Arizona.
Okay.
And then went on vacation one day and to Hawaii and met my husband. So
Okay, so
My
that's what
life-
took you away from us, huh?
Yes. So I literally slid down the map and fell into the ocean.
Oh, that is awesome. Such a beautiful love story it is.
Yes.
But before we get to that beautiful love story, I want to know, when I met you in the film industry. You were an actress, and I was getting involved in the film industry as an actress also. What was it that inspired you to get into the film industry? As you were you worked for the airline. So how did you get involved in the industry?
Good question. Thank you. I was working for America West. I was in their first group of hires of flight attendants, and they were expanding their cities. When I started, they only had 3 airplanes. They were expanding, and they were looking to add more cities. So with that comes a commercial, and they had asked some of the people to audition. Well, everybody I auditioned against had agents, and they were well versed, and this was just a dream. I was like, well, I never even went on an audition.
Oh.
I went, I got the part. It was a featured extra part. That commercial aired all over the United States.
Wonderful.
Made a good bit of money from it and got bit by the acting bug.
Love it, love it. And it wasn't that because you worked for the airline, you were an automatic shoe-in.
No.
You still had to go and audition.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And that's something that our aspiring actors need to know, that just because you know someone, or even just because you work for the company, that don't mean you're going to automatically get the gig.
And just because you know whomever is filming a project too. I just auditioned this week for something, and I'm 1,000 years old, and it's like, really? I still have to audition? But it's a beautiful part of the art.
Right.
It gets you creative. If you can be creative in the audition aspecting of it, then when you get that role and you become that character, you created it through your audition.
Right.
Right.
And you know what? Not that you're 1,000 years old, it keeps you working on your craft.
Yes.
Going to do those auditions. I feel like you learn something with each audition you do, something new, whether it's learning something new about the industry or that director or the cast that's there. So I always feel like I'm learning something new about the audition.
Yes.
So besides from the commercial for the airline, tell us about your first film, if you remember way back then.
Yes, 1,000 years ago. No, I'm only kidding. The first film was done here in Arizona. It was a big production, and I went through Faith Hibbs casting. and was hired as an extra. I mean, an extra. There were hundreds of people on set.
Oh, okay.
I was it had a dancing part, really small. I don't even know if I made it off the cutting floor. Who knows? But I was on set every day
Uh-huh.
because the scene took a long time to do because
Right.
there's a lot of people, and fell in love with it. That was in 1997, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? Some of those are the most fun. The ones where you
Yes.
may have been an extra and you don't even know if you made the cutting. But you had so much fun on set and with what
Hmm.
you were doing. I can think of a couple of those.
Yes. And I think the most important thing too is when you're an extra, you have an advantage over any other actor
Mm,
because you get to see how the wheel is being made. You get to
right.
see all the behind the scenes
Right.
versus if you're the lead
Hmm.
or a co-star, you have to be in character. You don't have that
Right.
opportunity to watch around you. So I worked a lot as an extra and I learned a lot,
Hmm.
and that's what makes me the type of producer, director,
Right.
actor that I am
And,
today.
and that was the key thing is even though you're an extra, you're still there to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
But sitting there and learning is so important and watching. I mean, you may get there and think you want to be an actress. You may want to be the cinematographer.
Right.
Once you pay attention to what that person is doing, you
Uh-huh.
never know what you're going to see when you're on set because there's a lot going on.
Yes. It's the same thing as when I got hired to be a flight attendant. I didn't know that the airline wasn't going to hire me for that. They wanted you to be a reservation agent,
Mm,
a ticketing agent. You had to. I even brought the aircrafts in operations. I was a flight attendant. We cleaned the aircraft. I
right,
so I had the opportunity to watch how the airline industry worked as
right,
a whole, and because I spent 21 years like that, when
right.
I simultaneously got into film, I wanted to know how does the whole production work?
Yes, yeah. And speaking of the whole production, you started off doing, with your first thing being a commercial. You got into acting, and you also mentioned producing. How
Hmm.
did you go from that step of being an actor to the producer? When did you determine that was what you wanted to do?
Pretty much early on because there wasn't a lot of opportunity. When you're a female actress, well, there's a lot of them.
Mm,
And I wanted to create opportunity rather than sit and wait for it to come to me. So I
right.
manifested a way to convince, it was Steve Wargo
Mm,
actually. I went up to him at one of the festivals and I said, Steve, I would love to produce a film. I would love to create a piece of art with you.
oh,
And because he said yes to me, that was
yes,
the journey to
right,
that segue into other areas of
right,
directing or
yes.
creating your own set.
Right. And that was the thing is creating that for yourself. And
Hmm.
sometimes we have to do that is to go and start create. If it's not there, you create it for yourself.
Hmm.
Okay, being a female producer, I want you to talk to women in our age range. What one tip would you give to that woman that's maybe in her her middle age that thinks that this is unattainable for her?
Well, I know earlier I said I was 1,000 years old. So let's just cancel that statement. And I truly believe that age is an energy.
Mm,
Okay, so if you look at your energy level
right,
and what your passion, your true passion is, and you take that and you combine it, you forget about the age
right.
because I really don't think about it.
Hmm.
Um, just this last film that I did, I everybody on set was probably 20 years younger
Probably
than me.
two. No.
Yeah, but I never saw myself in a comparison to that. So what I
Right.
would say to older women is, if it feels right here,
Hmm.
just manifest what you want. Go after it.
I love that because you know what? We have so many things in our face telling us this, they're trying to put us in a box. This is where you belong because you're this
Mm-hmm.
age, you're a woman, you can't do this. We
Mm-hmm.
see it in the media, we see it in the magazines, we see it everywhere. So for some people, it's hard to get past that. So I love what you said because you know what? I'm that same way. I don't think number. I think of what I'm passionate about and what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you gave that advice to our women. So we have Kimber Leigh, who's an actress, she's a producer, and she's an author. But I want to go back to the producing part because I know you just produced a couple of movies, short films. Let's talk a little bit about your last short film that you produced.
Okay, it's a really cute story. My daughter was visiting me at Christmas, and a friend of mine had sent me a pineapple doorbell ringer. And I opened it up and I'm like, oh, what a cool gift for Hawaii, right? I'm gonna hang it on the wall. Mother, you can't hang that. I said, why? She goes, because pineapples represent swingers, and everybody's going to think you're a swinger. So I took that and I shared it with...
What's wrong with being a swinger?
Right? Right? But swinging, couples swinging.
Right.
Married couples swinging. So I shared this story with John Kessner, local director, producer, writer here in Arizona. Fabulous, talented
Yes,
man.
he was on we had him on season 2 of season 1 of Desertwood Days.
Yeah. So I wrote him and I told him the funny story. I said, did you know that pineapples mean that you're a swinger? Well, actually, the pineapple has to be upside down.
Okay.
But within an hour of sharing that story with him, he wrote a script.
Oh.
And he sent it to me. And he said, Kimber, if you can film this, you can have it.
Oh, wow.
And it was a really cool comedy. Because I live on an island, there's very limited resources for filming. So we flew, Jim and Elena Thornton flew in, and then we cast who we could on the island and giving everybody acting lessons. And so I directed, produced it, I acted in it.
Cast and trained.
My husband was a huge support.
Oh.
He helped me. He was in the film as well. So we did that one. It's called Sand in the Crack.
Okay.
And Sand in the Crack is a really popular Hawaiian drink.
Oh, okay.
So at the end of the film, we have the recipe for that drink.
Okay.
But the film went all over the world, and as just of last week, it was nominated for 6 awards out of Berlin.
Wow.
And
congratulations.
Thank you. And one of them was my husband was nominated as the best actor for comedy.
Wonderful.
And he's not in the
Is
business.
this his second film?
This is actually his 4th.
Oh, okay.
I keep recruiting him. He loves to be supportive, so.
Oh.
And then we did another film on the island called Hawaiian Housewives Are Da Bomb, another comedy.
Okay.
And it's won awards everywhere. So John Kessner just wrote another one for me called Return to Gigi's Island.
Kimber, if I remember back, you were pretty much a huge dramatic type actress, weren't you? I mean, I don't remember you doing a lot of comedic type roles.
I did a lot with Clora Rowland.
Okay.
Him and I had, we would ad-lib everything
Okay.
back and forth. I love comedy more than drama, especially where we're at in the world. Comedy is light.
Yes, yes.
And I want to bring a lot of lightness and laughter.
Yeah.
So I'm really enjoying the comedy right now.
Awesome, awesome. So, you've produced film. You were also here filming this past week, right?
Yes.
In Arizona.
I got cast as Stella.
Okay.
Stella is, she's a partner. And the film is directed by Carlos Solis. Thank you. I don't know why my brain won't wrap around that name. He cast me, and my husband got to play opposite as my love interest.
Wonderful.
So we got to kiss and
you got to kiss.
throw down a little bit on camera. So.
That's nice.
Yes.
That's nice. But okay, we have this woman who's She's not 1,000 years old, as she stated. She's a beautiful woman. She's an actress. She's flown around the world, working for American Airlines, produced films. Now you're writing books.
Yes.
I mean, I know you co-authored a book because I was a part of that one, which was amazing. But you created your own book. Tell us about your last book. I know it was a bestseller.
Yes, when I moved to Hawaii, time moves really slow there. We have no stimulation, and the first 9 months I was starting to get what they call island fever.
Oh.
It is a real thing. And I shared it with my husband, and he said, because I'm used to this, right, fat acting, pace, Arizona. He said, Kimber, write a book. I said, well, I've never written a book before. He said, well, when the first time you acted, had you ever acted before?
Right.
So I wrote a book. It took me 2.5 years.
Oh.
I sent the book to my mentor, who I'm mentoring under him 7 years now. And he read it, and he said, Kimber, you cannot produce that book. And I said, Summers, why? And he goes, because it stinks.
Oh.
And I went, oh my God. He said, it's 90% this way and 10% this way. It needs to be switched. And I said, but that means a total rewrite. He said, what else are you doing? So I took another 9 months and I tore it all apart and put it all back together. And the book is called Greta Garbage. It went best-selling on Amazon.
Congratulations.
On its release, thank you. And it's been hugely successful. Been getting many 5-star review, editorial 5-star reviews.
And what's the genre of this book?
So it's basically a journey of my life, but coming from having a mother and 2 brothers commit suicide all within 6 months, your world looks like a tailspin, right? But the beautiful part of this book is I'm in the midst of this horrible storm. How the journey for the reader is to show how you get out of it.
Okay.
From sexual abuse to alcoholism to drug addiction. That wasn't me. That's what I lived with.
That's what you lived with.
And lived with these people who you're supposed to trust.
What prevented you from getting involved in all that?
Well, thank you for asking that. I wish I could share it with you. But if I do, then people won't buy the book.
That's true. They need to read it.
But there is a very profound thing that happened at the age of 7 to me in the middle of the most severe beating for my mother, because she would beat me nightly as she was grabbing her gallon bottle of vodka and drinking it and beating me. And in that moment in the book, it tells what saved my life.
Okay.
My mom died of a form of suicide from alcoholism, so I feel superiorly blessed. So this book, Greta Garbage, which, by the way, the title came from my grandfather telling me at a young age, you're going to be as famous as Greta Garbo. You're going to be as beautiful and as well known as her. And he would play with my hair and tell me that, and gave me confidence. So I ran home to tell my raging alcoholic mother, Grandpa says I'm going to be as famous as Greta Garbo. And she stopped and looked at me. And first of all, I would never run up to my mother like that, because hands are going to start swinging. And she looked at me and she said, sweetheart, you will never be anything but a bitch, a Greta Garbage.
Wow.
And I had forgotten about that name until I was halfway through the book, and it came up from out of the deep cells of the DNA, and I went, what a title for a book.
Right.
So if she gave me any gift,
she gave you that.
She gave me that.
And that is one thing I've heard, that writing is so therapeutic and so cleansing.
Yes.
So I know you also have products also to go along with your books and everything else that you do. Where can our audience find your information?
So they can go to my website, KimberLeigh.com, kimberleigh.com. So kimberaleigh.com.
Okay.
And I have other books that I've written, and I do have a new one coming out as soon as I get back to the island. And it's called From Underdog to Top Dog, Understanding and Recognizing Your Irresistible Powers.
Wonderful.
And I co-wrote it with Cece Berardi, who lives here in Arizona. This book has been 10 years in the making.
Wow.
So it's
So
just...
see, the name land needed to take you so that you can get it all on paper. Thank you for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Kathy. I could go on forever. I adore you. Thank you so much.
We'll catch you next time, okay? Because I know you're going to have more for us. And thank you for joining us today here at Desert Days, and we'll catch you next time.